Tonight, we journey back to a dusty farm in Brazil, to a story that has puzzled investigators and fascinated believers for over half a century. This is the incredible and unsettling account of Antonio Villas-Boas, a young farmer whose life was forever changed by a close encounter of the most terrifying kind. The year is 1957. In the quiet, rural landscape of snow, Francisco de Sales, Brazil, a 23-year-old named Antonio Villas-Boas was working hard on his family's farm. The harvest season was intense, and he often found himself plowing the fields late into the night, alone on his tractor. But as October began, something strange started to happen. On the night of October 5th, Antonio and his brother were just enjoying the cool evening air when they saw it. A blindingly bright light in the sky. It was way too brilliant to be a star, and it moved with this unnatural speed, darting across the heavens before just vanishing. They were intrigued, sure, but they chalked it up to some weird atmospheric thing. 9 days later, on October 14th, Antonio was alone, plowing the fields close to midnight, and the strange light came back. Only this time, it was much, much closer. A massive, silvery, egg-shaped object was hovering directly above his tractor. It was so intense that it lit up the entire field like it was the middle of the day. Overwhelmed by a mix of raw curiosity and pure fear, he watched as the object ascended, extending 3 thick metal legs that landed softly on the ground. Absolutely terrified, Antonio slammed his foot on the accelerator, trying to get away. But it was useless. The tractor's engine died, the lights flickered out, and he was plunged into this eerie silence, broken only by the low hum of the craft. He jumped from the tractor and tried to make a run for it, but his legs felt heavy, like he was trying to move through water. Suddenly, a small figure, no more than 5 feet tall, emerged from the craft. It was wearing a tight-fitting gray suit and a large, round helmet that completely hid its face. Before Antonio could even process what he was seeing, 3 more of these figures appeared and grabbed him. He fought back with everything he had, but they were surprisingly strong. They lifted him right off the ground and carried him towards a door that had opened in the side of the strange machine. Inside, the world turned sterile and metallic. The air was cool and had a strange, clinical smell, almost like a hospital. The room was circular and brightly lit from the walls themselves, with no visible light source. His captors, who were communicating in a series of guttural yelps and barks, forcibly stripped him of his clothes. Antonio just stood there, vulnerable and absolutely terrified, as one of the beings approached him with a sponge-like device. They started to cover his entire body with a thick, cold, clear gel. It didn't have a smell, but it left his skin feeling slick and strange. He tried to resist, but their grip was like iron. Next, they led him into an adjacent room, and here, things took an even more disturbing turn. They sat him down on a metallic stool, and one of the beings came towards him with a sharp, cup-like instrument. They pressed it against his chin, and he felt a sharp sting. A small amount of his blood was drawn into the device. The whole process was quick, clinical, and utterly terrifying. He couldn't understand what they wanted or why they were doing this. Were they scientists, explorers, or something far more sinister? After they took the blood sample, they left him alone in the room. The silence was deafening. He sat there for what felt like an eternity, his mind just racing. Who were these beings? Where did they come from? Was he ever going to get home? The solitude was almost as frightening as the procedures themselves. Just as he was beginning to lose all hope, a strange, thick, gray smoke started to fill the room from small holes in the walls. It had an unpleasant, suffocating smell, and it made him violently ill. He started to vomit uncontrollably. After he had recovered, one of the beings returned. To his astonishment, it gestured for him to follow it and led him back to the main room, where his clothes were now neatly folded. The being pointed to his clothes and then to the exit, a clear signal that he was free to go. He quickly got dressed and was escorted to the same door he'd entered through. He stepped out onto the damp soil of his own farm, turned around and watched as the craft retracted its legs, rose silently into the night sky, and then shot away at an impossible speed, disappearing in a flash of brilliant light. It was 5:30 in the morning. 4.5 hours had passed. Shaken and completely disoriented, Antonio stumbled back to his house. 4 days afterward, he suffered from severe headaches and nausea. Strange sores, hard and painless, appeared on his body. They were a dark purple color and raised, and they oozed a clear fluid before they eventually faded away. He also experienced this overwhelming sleepiness, sometimes sleeping for more than 24 hours straight. His eyes burned, and for weeks he couldn't stand being in bright light. Fearing ridicule, Antonio kept his experience a secret for weeks. But as his physical symptoms got worse and the psychological trauma just wouldn't go away, he knew he had to tell someone. He finally confided in a journalist named Joe Martins, who recognized the sincerity and incredible detail in his story. Martins connected him with Dr. Olavo Fontes, a respected physician who also happened to be a UFO investigator. Dr. Fontese conducted a thorough medical examination of Antonio. He documented the mysterious sores and noted that Antonio showed symptoms consistent with mild radiation exposure. The doctor was really struck by the consistency and logical coherence of Antonio's testimony. He found no evidence of mental illness or dishonesty. Villas-Boas wasn't looking for fame or money. He was just a simple farmer, confused and frightened by an event that defied all rational explanation. Dr. Fontes ultimately concluded that Antonio Villas-Boas was telling the truth as he had experienced it. Antonio Villas-Boas later became a lawyer. He got married and had a family. He rarely spoke of his ordeal publicly, preferring to live a quiet life far away from the spotlight. But his story, meticulously documented and medically examined, remains one of the most compelling and detailed alien abduction accounts in history. It forces us to ask some really uncomfortable questions. What really happened on that Brazilian farm back in 1957? Was it a hallucination? A very elaborate hoax? Or was a young farmer truly taken aboard an alien craft and subjected to a terrifying examination? The truth, just like the craft that visited him, remains just out of reach, a mystery that continues to haunt the night sky. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the unknown. If you found this story as fascinating as we did, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more explorations of the world's greatest mysteries.